Hello, checking 1, 2, 3. Here we are. So in this section, I'm just going through how much is in the actual project itself. So I've turned off all my layers in the project, as you can see here on the right hand side of the corner. And I'll just be going through slowly, putting them back in like this. I got my sky. This sky, I just drew it on. I hand drew it on. Okay, it's just sort of fun. Yeah, so I hand drawn this on. Also, we've got the hue and saturation that I've added on with the city. This will be a bit random in the process because also I put certain stuff in order. When I get rid of it and re-put it in, it's not gonna be in complete order. As I got city, that was the last thing I put in. But as we go through now, if I slowly put in the city now, and also the hill that I put in, see, put this on, and slowly going through the different textures and hue and saturation. As you can see, I'm slowly building and adding on, making it darker. As you know, the sun's going to be on the top, so like left hand side-ish, but also this is in the post-apocalyptic part, so it's not a huge amount of sun, as I copied the first one over and just destroyed it and added more detail on. I can see slowly adding on the road. For this section, I can see the road, I actually made that down here. You can see I got the different sections of the road I built myself with it, and then just copied it over like that. And as you can see, I'm slowly building onto the road, as the road wasn't actually built big enough, so I actually had to extend the road and make it look natural. Natural, right word. Obviously, as you can see, I had to change it. They looked very grainy. It looked very grainy and not natural. As you see, it just looked a lot better when I did that, and also adding hue saturation to blend it in. Did it with the other side. Can add hue and saturation there as well, so also look normal. This part doesn't need to be added in. That was just an error for the sky. Adding the white building in should be last, but yeah, add the white building in. Slowly add on the levels and the houses one by one. As you can see, so I have to take apart each and every section to make it look like a 3D object. And again, adding hue saturation to make it look natural with the sky and elements within it. Slowly adding on, changing the saturation to make each building look slightly different as well in the process. As you can see with the shed, I have to take it in two different places. As you can see on the visual image, it looks very 2D. So in this section, I take two different parts and cut in half. And then I distort it and put it into shape and place it. And I grouped it together and then placed it onto the building to make it look a lot more natural. Once again, adding hue and saturation on the whole thing and changing the levels so it actually goes with the sky a bit more and the theme. Slowly adding on the buildings on the other side as well, so I copy and pasted that over. Did this exact same on the other side as well. And just slowly adding details and the vines. Obviously that doesn't look right without the hue and saturation on again. Adding textures, as you can see, making it look all broken down and smashed up just to make it give that theme that I was going for. Let's see if you can go in here. I got a lot of textures going on here. Got the smashed windows, burn marks on the building to make it look destroyed. And also got the sign.
Trying to say what tools.
Tools, yeah. For these ones, I just hand drawn them. As you see, some of the parts, like the sign, I didn't hand draw the sign, but I grabbed an asset and I just shrunk it down, put it onto there, and I used the lighting section. I can see it pulling down here to blend it in with the sign as well. You see, slowly adding on the cracks as well. When putting on the cracks onto some of the windows and all that, I have hand drawn some. If I go here, the pen tool here. Pencil tool. This section here, as you can see, my mouse is hovering over. These sections here, I hand drawn them on using the pen tool. I keep going up now. Keep going up. I'll see these main sections of the buildings and the mountainous in the background. I use the lasso tool, or the second one down. You can see the lasso tool here, just to make it easier to cut out certain objects. Going up now, just adding some more harshly damaged windows. These are some of the photos I've taken myself, and just going around with the lasso tool and just replacing it. And as you see, if I Command T, and then using the distort tool, I stretch it into place and pull it onto there. You see, I use boarded up windows as well. Got these from my images as well. I can see Josh is in here, but obviously I took him out at the end, final piece of the project, so I didn't bother. So he don't turn him on in this section. As you see, I add a lot of green to make it look more old. Slowly adding on the vines as well. This section is mainly hand drawn with the pen tool, so this bit took certain time, so you see different colors of the tool. If I went and used the, where is it now, the eyedrop tool to get the certain color I wanted from each of the sections, so I have the right color for the different pens and the different greens as well. So if I continue to add more on, as you can see on the White House, adding it burn damage marks, more cracks. This one is a big jump actually. This is the one, layer 46 is one I mainly did on, so as you can tell there's a lot going on over here. So as you see, I added the graffiti tool. I added graffiti. So I grabbed this from my original image, and then lower the opacity down to about 50%. And then, as you see, I used the overlay section onto the building just to give it and blend it in slightly more. And again, using the pen tool on mostly everything you can see over here. And then like a banner section on the white building down below. A blood handprint on the sign just to give it that zombie-esque feeling that, you know, everyone's dead, you're alone, in a survival situation. You can see blurred background as well. So if I go on to the filters be here, I went to blur section, and I use the gradients blur. So I blur the background about 0.5%, so it just makes it feel like it's in the background, in the distance a lot more. As you see, I added a bit more vines, the signs coming into place be here. And I slowly adding in the different hue and saturations. The cracks, as you see, I added those from my own assets from Video Copilot. Add that in. These are just some of the assets. You can see the broken down window and the boarded up sign that you used here. So I just grabbed the lasso tool, just cut them out, and changing the saturation levels to match the scenario and the background of the actual piece. Once again, as you can see, the hue saturation here. So we add it in. As you see, I got a lot of vines here. I got a transparent image, free to use online, which was transparent, so I could just place that over the image itself in the building to give it that overgrown section. And I've got the lamppost coming in here. With the lamppost, it was actually too short bit here, so I actually used the lasso tool going around the bottom bit of it, copied and pasted it, put on select on the top of it, the layer, and then just grouped it so it makes it give it that longer lamppost there. Got more added on there. As you see, the dark patches be here. I'm going up to the section be here, and I'm using the burn tool just to give it that depth and the shadowing onto it. And I also use this by also change the colour of the burn to a green, so it makes it look like a more moss feeling to it as well. Going up here more, adding more the lamppost here. As you can see in the last one, I make it look like it's been chopped in half. So in this section here, I add more get with the shadows, actually adding shadows into the building to give it more of the depth, to make it look know where the sun's coming from. As you can see, I add the shadow here and broken down sign that's lamppost in half. So I use the lasso tool again, just cut around it, select the actual image and just rotate it slightly so it looks like it's being fallen over. If I zoom out here, also you can see I've added vines to the building be here. If I zoom in, just in this sections be here, the little detail, I'm changing the colour of the actual trees in the background itself. So when I zoom out here, you can see it doesn't look really too bad when I zoom out. Also you can see a lot more when going into detail with this. As you can see, all the layers on the side, got more layers be here. And you can see which buildings I've actually added onto different textures too, so like the pen tool going to be here, the burn tool as well, and actually using the pen tool, like on the paint tool, paintbrush tool, going up here, selecting that, and just selecting a certain paintbrush style that I wanted, which was the blood one. If I just turn that back on, here you can see it's happened a lot more. If I go into group 2 here, once again you can see the hue and saturation added to the actual vine itself, as when I got the image they were way too bright, so I had to obviously lower the levels of it to match the same colour tone of the actual project and image itself. As you see, adding when paintbrushing as well, I've added little bits of flowers, just going over the cracks, also just to give it that overgrown feeling, blood splatter as well, just to give it that zombie-esque feeling as well, as it's apocalyptic. And I'm going for that zombie type vibe as well. So we just zoom out. As you see, that's the final piece here. So yeah, that's the whole, just quick brief using the different tools, as you can see, such as the overlay, light.
Which were your 3 most useful tools for the project?
What was that?
Which were your 3 most useful tools on the left-hand toolbar? Which 3 were most useful for the execution of the project?
Ooh, for the project, that's a difficult one. I think the 3 most useful tools is obviously, I'm going to say the paintbrush tool.
Why?
Paintbrush tool, obviously you can see I use the paintbrush tool to add my own detail and assets for this. Also, I couldn't just grab certain images from online, as they were much difficult to come across, and grabbing my own image would have been just difficult to try and lasso out. And also I can add the detail I want to add myself, obviously. So that was probably why that's probably most useful to me. Also, I can add what I want and how I want it to look as well. So that's probably one of the most useful tools I've used for this project. I think the second most useful tool would have been the burn tool, which is, if you look on the left hand side, which means this one be here. This helped me a lot for creating the shadows on the ground and for the lamppost be here. Obviously, it just made it, I could just, like with the paintbrush tool, I could just easily just draw over it. And just gone over it, and just to make it look a more burn tool. It was just a little easy tool, like that came very handy. Actually, I've used it for the sections on the buildings, as you can see on the skyscrapers, to give that, there's like a hole in it, the in-depth feeling to it. So that's probably why I've used that. I'm not sure what would be this. Probably the most useful tool would have been definitely the clone stamp tool be here. Also with the clone stamp tool, I can go over a certain section. If I demonstrate, so if I want to remove this little dot here, just clone stamp it here, click that, and I go over it like that. Also, I'm not going to do on the actual layer itself, but this helped me got rid of a lot of the little detail on some of the buildings, so it didn't look the same. It's probably one of the most useful tools as well. So all three of these tools, mainly kind of basically like a pen, basically just drawing. So obviously you got the paintbrush, and then you got the burn tool to make it darker, and then the clone stamp just to go over a certain section to copy and paste it from where I want it. So those are the three most ones I've used within this project. I found incredibly helpful for me. Also, I don't think I could have just done it with shapes and some of the options I have on here. It just wouldn't have been possible, to be honest. So that's definitely one of these useful tools that I've used for this project, and probably will be incredibly useful for the future if I also want to do this more as well. So that's going over the brief overview of this project, going through the layers.